It's time to hit social media for cash tags. We'd like to welcome in Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, and Jenny Horns back with us, continuing our Domino's conversation.
The pizza conversation, yes. So they have third quarter earnings before market tomorrow. And to revisit their second quarter earnings, basically they beat on EPS, but they fell completely short on revenue. And this is due largely in part to the CEO basically saying, we're not going to partner with the Uber Eats, the DoorDash, all these third-party delivery services, which is continuing to drag on the company. So Andy, I'm really curious what your data has to show, because we were all just discussing the different ways we get pizza/food delivery.
Yeah, it's a changing landscape, and it's changing in a very dramatic way. And so at LikeFolio, what we have taken a deep look at is the number of people getting food delivery and what type of food delivery that is. And when you look at a chart of that over the course of a few years, it's a really dramatic shift in terms of the number of people talking about ordering pizza was relatively stable for a really long time. And then just recently it started to fall off. And in conjunction with that, kind of mirroring that is this absolute acceleration in people just getting food delivered in general. It's because of the Uber Eats, the DoorDashes, the Grubhubs, all of that have come along and essentially made pizza no longer the default choice for delivery. And that's really hurting these pizza companies. They're facing some massive headwinds. I think Domino's even admitted that in their last conference call. And so I think as we go into this earnings, it's going to be, is the CEO, is the executive team at Domino's really going to double down on this strategy of avoiding dealing with the delivery apps? It seems to be really hurting them. They've missed the last 5 quarters. They've missed revenues. The only thing that's been saving them is, these share buybacks that pump up earnings per share, and the fact that they're increasing delivery fees, neither of which of those I think is a sustainable long-term plan.
Yeah, and Andy, you make a great point about that, because you can get Chipotle delivered, you can get McDonald's delivered to you now. So that puts the pressure on Domino's if they're not part of these apps, because it's easier for somebody to go on Grubhub and, Domino's isn't on there, but that local pizza place is, or another pizza place. And then you can also pick from 20 other different things. But if you look at that, Domino's still was the innovator to begin with, because if you look at this chart, I think it's up over 600% from the start of 2012 until now. They were the innovator in that space, but they're not keeping up. Does that mean that we're going to see a 6th quarter of declining sales for this company, because they've had 5 previous ones, and your data is reflective of, hey, nobody's ordering from Domino's anymore?
Yeah, I think it's really tough. They're heading into some very serious headwinds. Like you said, this is one of the greatest turnaround stories literally of this century. I mean, the stock was dead. The CEO comes out and says, hey, we understand our pizza is no good. We're going to fix that. They had this brilliant marketing campaign, and they really created a much better product. But now, all of this emphasis on innovation and technology could actually become a detriment to them as they move forward, because it seems like they're so committed to doing everything in-house that they're missing the big macro picture, and that is people aren't just looking for which pizza place they're going to call for delivery. That competitive landscape has shifted dramatically. Like you said, now they're thinking about, what do I want delivered? I don't want to cook tonight. What do I want delivered? The standard answer used to be pizza 3 or 4 years ago. Now you can literally get anything. It's really tough on these companies to compete. And Domino's isn't the only one. It's impacting Yum Brands through Pizza Hut. It's impacting Papa John's. So there's a significant headwind here, and I do think Domino's is in for some rocky trouble up ahead.
Andy, I have to disagree with the mass consumer. I think I still go for pizza when I go for delivery, honestly. Maybe I'm stuck like 10 years ago. But our first tweet is from Robert Parker, who says, Domino's Pizza, I haven't ordered pizza one time since DoorDash came to our small city 3 months ago. So this is kind of the generic theme I saw, unfortunately, although I was very disappointed that there was not much buzz about Domino's Pizza. But it also seems like the healthy shift is not helping. I mean, people are ordering healthy foods now, not just Domino's, not just...
Yeah, and Andy, if we look at this tweet from Robert, this really echoes what you're seeing in your data completely here. But I guess one point that I want to get your take on in this particular space is, with them not being on these apps, let's say you just log on to Grubhub or DoorDash, just pick whichever one you want, you may not know what you want to order. But if Domino's isn't even on there, they're never coming into your mind even as a consideration. So at some point it feels like they're going to have to make a deal, and making that deal later, you'd think the terms would be worse.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they do have to make a deal. I think that making a deal would probably get shareholders to breathe a sigh of relief. But the fact is, even if you're on the apps, you're now one of 75 choices, where it used to be you were one of 3, and so that's a big landscape shift. They've got to face that. I don't know that there's a right answer on how to navigate it. I just know that what Domino's is facing is very difficult and has been for the last 5 quarters. And as you look out into the future, the food delivery apps are only accelerating in consumer popularity, and the number of restaurants that are partnering with those apps is increasing as well. And so they're facing a whole new world of competition. And it seems like so far they're being pretty stubborn about it, and it's hurting them, at least in the near term. We'll see what happens on the call tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and as we get into that call tomorrow morning here, Andy, kind of closing thoughts on everything. Earnings has led to volatility in this name. If we go back to last year, 3 of 4 at least were down days following these reports. Is that what you guys are expecting coming into this, or has it been beaten up enough that a lot of this is priced in already?
Yeah, a good amount's priced in. The way that I'm thinking about Domino's going into this, it looks pretty tightly wound, which I thought Ben Watson did a really good job of demonstrating on the last segment. And so I do think that it's ready to move pretty big in one direction or another. So what I would think about is, if I'm a long-term player, do I look at some calls around those resistance levels that Ben talked about, 260, 265, somewhere in there? Do I sell those? And if it does pop, I get put into a bearish position above where it is today? Or do I just take a shot at some puts out of the money and hope that this is the quarter that the dam breaks? I think both of those are viable strategies. You just kind of have to know your risk and reward going into the trade.
All righty, Andy, well said. We'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us as always, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.